What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boy oh boy, I think we all knew that Activision was getting a tad bit concerned when they decided to go ahead and cancel carry forward from, obviously, the Black Ops 6 content moving over to Black Ops 7 after all of the insanely positive feedback that Battlefield 6 got after its most recent beta. I mean, seriously, the whole internet was exploding over the fact that we finally, after all of these years, got a grounded game. The second that this gets done, Activision is over here scurrying, saying, okay, no more Beavis and Butthead, no more this, no more that. We got to make sure that we start toning down the experience again. And who knows? They might just be full of crap and waiting for the next down period where Call of Duty will be the main dominant FPS game out there and they can do whatever they please. But for the time being, they are definitely scurrying around, you know? And who knows? Maybe later on they might even announce maybe toned down matchmaking, non-disbanding lobbies. I have no clue what the future holds, but seriously, Battlefield 6 has been doing some numbers. And rightfully so. Ladies and gentlemen, I just went ahead and saw that Battlefield 6 has been absolutely making Battlefield 2042 pop off to the max degree. And this is something that is just extraordinarily rare. I can't even believe I'm saying this because Battlefield 2042 is hands down probably one of the worst in the franchise. We just got to keep it real here, ladies and gentlemen. I think a lot of people are even trying to just phase it out and pretend it was never even an introduction into the overall franchise. But when it comes down to it, Battlefield 6 has exclusive rewards within Battlefield 2042, and the only way of obtaining them is by playing the game and actually grinding through the free battle pass within 2042 and trying to unlock all the content, which is not an easy task, guys. Seriously, you know, I have a decent amount of time to put into these games, and I haven't even unlocked the F2000. I think I'm on like tier 21 or 22. It's, you know, a lot of work to get done. But with that being said, Battlefield 2042 is hitting some really high peaks right now within their player count. And only a game as perfect and fun as Battlefield 6 will be able to convince players to actually hop into one of the worst Battlefield experiences ever made, just so they can get content for the game that they are loving oh so much. As you guys can see right here, ladies and gentlemen, seriously, Battlefield 2042 has been slowly peaking up and actually reached a high of 75,000 players, and this has been going on for weeks now, and it's still able to maintain an average around about above 50k for the peaks, and I would say around 35 to 40k for their lows, which is still, again, stupidly impressive, especially for a game that is known as the worst title ever put together within mankind. And putting this up to the Call of Duty numbers, as you can see right here, this is for Call of Duty as a whole, ladies and gentlemen, Warzone and Black Ops 6. They can barely go ahead and reach a peak of 50k. Keep in mind, Battlefield 2042 is only for Battlefield 2042, the multiplayer experience. And although Black Ops 6 is still a bit more consistent when it comes to their numbers, the fact that Battlefield 2042 is still that close, if not still blowing them out of the water with hitting a 75k player peak, is just so absolutely fascinating to see. That right there proves to me that Battlefield 6 is a highly anticipated game. And you have to keep in mind, too, a lot of these rewards are not very widespread. You know, I feel like a mass majority of the casuals might not even know that you can hop on 2042 and collect these rewards. This is more so probably for a lot more of the hardcore audience of people who have been just really digging into this game. Could you imagine if everybody was logging on to 2042 and giving it a shot? If everybody knew about this information? But even with the current, outlook of how many people know about this, it's insane. 2042 is having a resurgence, one of the worst Battlefield games known to mankind, and people are actually fighting through the pain of playing that game just to get stuff for Battlefield 6. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, Battlefield 6 is still topping charts when it comes to the PlayStation pre-orders. I'm not even going to tell you where it is on Steam. Everybody's going to say Steam is irrelevant, but if you want to know, Battlefield, I think, at this time of recording, again, on the 27th at around 6 p.m., Battlefield 6 is sitting around 15 to 18 right now in the Steam charts, while Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is at 120. But again, we all know that Call of Duty does much better on console. So over here, when it comes to the PlayStation Store, Battlefield is still surpassing them, which is absolutely shocking. It seriously blows me away because this isn't typical. And I'll be real, I'm not expecting this to last forever. I feel like once Black Ops 7 has their beta and also an open beta, I feel like the pre-orders are going to go up a lot more. Do I want that to happen? Not really. I want Activision to learn their lesson, but at the end of the day, I'm just being real here with how Call of Duty works and how big the franchise is alone. I could definitely see the pre-orders, jumping up once people actually get hands-on, compared to Battlefield 6, where people did get hands-on, so they're probably a bit more excited. But man, oh man, the fact that the Phantom Edition, the $100 edition for Battlefield 6, is surpassing the $100 edition for Black Ops 7 right now is mind-boggling. And what's even crazier is the fact that the Battlefield 6 Phantom Edition, again, the whole game, is only for next gen. So last gen isn't included. So Black Ops 7, that is including 2 separate consoles, while Battlefield 6 is only including 1. And Battlefield 6 is still surpassing them when it comes to the charts. I mean, to me, that's insane. Even when it comes down to the base version of the game, the $7 edition, that is still surpassing Black Ops 7, the $70 edition of that game, as well. I am very, very impressed, and I'm telling you right now, I don't think that Activision coming out and starting to, say all of these very consumer-friendly things is a coincidence. I think it directly corresponds to Battlefield 6. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here, and it could be a lot of different things. But when has Call of Duty ever given a crap? I'm being serious. When has Activision ever actually gave a crap? And when they have given a crap, how long has that lasted? How long have they continued to care after their initial response to certain things that are negative within the community? It never lasts. It'll last for maybe a week, and then bam, they vanish again. All the bad practices resume, and the community eats it up. For the first time, it seems like they're actually kind of shook that we have a dominant game. Nobody expected Battlefield to really do what they're doing right now. I think we all understand that Call of Duty is massive enough to hold itself up against everything. And the fact that Battlefield 6 is still fighting weeks down the road, still absolutely demolishing, is just crazy. For the first time in a long time, I think we're going to see real competition when it comes to COD, which is a fantastic thing. And I want to say this as well. Having competition isn't bad. People keep thinking that these videos that we make about, Battlefield 6 making Activision wake up, all of the above is for negativity. I think a lot of us want to see Call of Duty thrive, but the only way to do so is if we have realistic competition. Back when we had Halo Infinite and Battlefield 2042 competing with Vanguard, although that was the perfect time for competition, we all know what Battlefield 2042 turned out to be. Okay, that's a no-brainer. And then Halo Infinite had no content at launch. It was the driest game known to mankind. Where Vanguard, although it's Vanguard and it's another, DLC-styled game and it's just the same old COD, it had, 16 maps at launch and tons of things to go ahead and play with. So regardless, Call of Duty still thrived. But Battlefield 6 is in such a great spot. And although it's a tad bit mixed within the community, whether it's good, bad, if it's too much like COD, if it's a good Battlefield game, whatever, the hype is still there. There are a lot of people genuinely excited about this game. And the foundation of Battlefield is present. This isn't a mystery game like 2042. No, we know this is going to be Battlefield. Even with changes that must happen in the future, this is a much better foundation than what we got before. So for the first time in a long time, yes, we are truly getting competition against Call of Duty. Nobody could usually step because typically, if you want to compete with COD, you got to be a AAA, studio. And even then, like for example, X-Defiant, I wouldn't really consider them AAA because they didn't have that many developers, but they were still funded by Ubisoft. Even that still had some struggles, This is the first time we've had an actual polished FPS game that is ready to go right out the door, ready to ship, and ready to compete. I am excited for this. And as we talked about before, I'm not just excited because I want to see COD fail. I'm excited because now Call of Duty has to wake up. Who knows what else is in store for us in the future, especially if Battlefield 6 is successful. Imagine if Battlefield 6 not only is an overhyped game right now, because let's be honest, it is stupidly overhyped. That's probably why it's getting to the spot that it's in. But imagine if not only is it overhyped, but after it launches, it continues with that hype, and there is a crap ton of people who genuinely stick around. That would be so unbelievably good, because if Activision is reacting the way they are just based off of this current hype from the betas, if the full launch is that dominant, who knows what other changes are in store? They could listen to the community more. We might have reduced skill-based matchmaking. They might actually cough up money for better servers. We have no clue. We're not there yet, and I'm not saying it's going to happen because, as I stated before, Activision is very stubborn, and once, these games start calming down, they just got to wait it out a year or two. They have money to do so. They're owned by Microsoft. They have billions, so they don't really got to worry about sending out hit games all the time. Just got to wait out a few years until all these shooters calm down again. It's kind of a dead market, and then Call of Duty can do exactly what it does best and keep ripping everybody off. But in a perfect world, that wouldn't happen. Battlefield 6 would be successful for years to come. Call of Duty would have constant competition because if they, let off the gas, Battlefield's going to go ahead and take on over, which means there would be nothing but positive things happening for everybody within this community. Be honest here, guys. Battlefield is only here right now doing what it's doing because of the flops that it had in the past. That right there to me is proof that when competition comes in and takes over, it makes companies, the big dogs, wake up. These big dog companies, they're not like these small little publishers, indie devs, these tinier studios who are more passionate. These publishers want money. The only way to get change is when the money is affected. And the mass majority of us can't really do that unless a very good product is pushed out. There's been a lot of games that I personally love, but for the overall audience out there, people want a much more high quality, high production cost product. And it looks like we finally got that. Let's just hope it continues to thrive. Let's hope that this competition keeps on going. Battlefield 6 can keep pumping it, and maybe we'll see better things out of COD, which again will once again counter back over to Battlefield to make sure they stay on their toes and they don't screw over Battlefield in the future. Man, at the end of the day, this is just making me very happy and excited for FPS games, but only time will tell if this is actually going to stick. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post here daily at 8 morning Eastern Time, and sometimes we go ahead and double upload at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Everything between COD, Battlefield, Splitgate 2, Arc Raiders. I've been discussing a little Gears of War as well, and of course, if any other FPS or third-person shooter games spark my interest, I'll gladly talk about them on this channel. And last but not least, if you guys are interested in my live streams, I stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch, starting between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, you can link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you all next one. Peace out.